Good evening and welcome to the Nevis newscast for today, Tuesday, August 9th, 2016. I am Bronte Swanston Hendrickson. In response to concerns reaching the Department of Agriculture and Fisheries with regard to the confiscation of fish from airline passengers who visited Nevis but departed the Federation via St. Kitts, Permanent Secretary Eric Evelyn is seeking to clarify the matter. Speaking to the Department of Information earlier today, Evelyn reminded travelers to obtain the proper documentation in order to avoid confiscation of the items.
If you're traveling from the Robert L. Bradshaw International Airport, it is necessary, it is required that you have documentation to accompany frozen fish. I must say here that if the fish is fried or cooked in any way, you do not need any documentation to take with the fish. However, if you have frozen fish to travel with from the Robert L. Bradshaw International Airport, it is now a requirement from the Fisheries Department in St. Kitts, that's the Department of Marine Resources, that you have documentation. And so I am trying to sensitize travelers who are traveling from Nevis and you are traveling through the airport in St. Kitts that you get documentation, and you get the documentation from the Environmental Health Department, which is located in the same building as the Health Center in Charlestown. I would also advise you as well to get documentation from the Fisheries Department here in Nevis, but for now I think the documentation from the Environmental Health should suffice. So if you're traveling through the airport in St. Kitts, kindly go to the Environmental Health Department here on Nevis and get your certificate. I think the certificate costs only $5, and we want you to be aware of this.
The measure is in keeping with the new Fisheries Act, which was passed by the National Assembly in January of this year.
Even though the act has not been fully enforced as yet, they are getting travelers ready and to ensure that once everything is enforced from the law, that persons will comply with what is required. A part of the new law also speaks to traceability. And so what they're also trying to do in St. Kitts is to ensure that once you're traveling with frozen fish, it is documented as to where you would have gotten the frozen fish from. And so in case something goes wrong, in case somebody gets fish poisoning or something, it can be traced back as to where the fish was bought from, where it eventually came from.
Evelyn says the new law will eventually come into effect in Nevis as well.
If you are leaving from the Vance W. Amory International Airport, that requirement is not enforced as yet. And so if you're traveling from Nevis, from the Vance W. Amory International Airport, you do not need a documentation. You can take your frozen fish. However, eventually, we would want both St. Kitts and Nevis to be standardized in terms of what is happening in terms of taking fish overseas.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, Eric Evelyn. The new Artisan Village at Pinnis, a project undertaken by the Ministry of Tourism, is one step closer to completion, with 4 new units almost ready to house 8 new businesses and a cafeteria in the latter stages of construction. Here's Communications Officer Sheila James with the details in this evening's edition of the Ministry of Tourism's News Extra.
Local artisan residents are delighted with the new additions and is confident that the new look will muster revenue. Business is set to soar during the run-up to independence and into the countdown days, that of the tourism season, which is earmarked annually from October 2016 through to April 2017. The Artisan Village was recently installed with male and female wash facilities and will soon boast a generous drive-through facility and car park to encourage taxi drivers transporting tourists, visitors and locals to and from this marvellous facility. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Mr. Carl Williams, is thrilled at the progress and is eagerly awaiting the facility's new units and cafeteria to be fully operational. The new additions brings the vision of a comprehensive artisan shoppers experience reality onto our sun-fringed shores of Queen City, Nevis.
According to James, work on the Nevis Craft House, the final stage of the project, is expected to commence shortly. The body of the late police constable Brian J. Packett was expected to be laid to rest with full military honors, accorded today, Tuesday, August 9th, in his home country of Dominica. A contingent of police officers and St. Kitts and Nevis Defense Force personnel are in Dominica to participate in the funeral. The group includes the Bearing Party, the Firing Party, the Color Party, the Mourning Party, and the Defense Force Band and Drum Corps. Commissioner of Police Ian Quealy is leading the contingent. The Office of the Prime Minister also confirms that the Honourable Dr. Timothy Harris also attended the funeral in his capacity as Prime Minister and Minister of National Security and met with the officer's family. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, Osmond Petty, was also expected to be in attendance. A release from the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force notes that Police Constable Packett passed away on Monday, July 18th, while undergoing treatment for injuries sustained during the execution of his duties. A candlelight vigil organized by the Police Welfare Association was also held in his honor on July 23rd at the Police Training Center in St. Kitts, at which reflections of Officer Packett were given by friends, supervisors, and members of the community. Also in attendance were Prime Minister Harris, Deputy Prime Minister the Honourable Sean Richards, and Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, Osmond Petty. Police Constable Brian J. Packett served 8 years in the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. Still to come, Premier Amory lauds Prime Minister Harris as a strong and competent leader. The details after this break.
Welcome to Nevis.
It's easy to believe that all Caribbean islands are the same until you visit Nevis.
Nevis is the Caribbean of a bygone era.
You will enjoy a most intimate vacation on Nevis. You're only a stranger here once.
We offer exclusive and barefoot luxury stays.
With only 400 hotel rooms, our island may be exclusive.
But the warm, genuine and friendly welcome is just everywhere.
We look forward to meeting you.
Visit nevisisland.com.
Welcome back. Premier of Nevis and the Senior Minister of Nevis Affairs, Labour, Social Security and Ecclesiastical Affairs in the Federal Cabinet, the Honourable Vance Amory, has acclaimed Prime Minister the Honourable Dr. Timothy Harris as a strong and competent leader who espouses collegiality. A release from the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service says at the most recent Discussions for Prosperity Town Hall meeting held at the Newtown Community Centre on St. Kitts, Premier Amory said Prime Minister Harris has led the 18-month-old government of national unity through strong leadership. Premier Amory, the most senior and experienced politician in the government, also rubbished rumours of a divided cabinet. He says he has no qualms about saying that Prime Minister Harris is a strong leader. He knows his stuff and is eminently qualified and capable to perform in his role, said Premier Amory, while publicly declaring that Minister of Foreign Affairs and Aviation, the Honourable Mark Brantley, is also a confident supporter of Prime Minister Harris. Premier Amory and Minister Brantley are the leader and deputy leader, respectively, of the political party, the Concerned Citizens Movement in Nevis, who, along with the People's Labour Party and the People's Action Movement, constitute the National Unity Government. The refurbishment of portions of the Robert L. Bradshaw International Airport to accommodate increased air travel is one of the areas of improvement on which the Team Unity government is embarking, Minister of Transport the Honourable Ian Liburd has informed. Liburd, who was at the time speaking at a government town hall meeting, said the St. Christopher Air and Seaports Authority SCASPA is actively pursuing this project. The terminal building was constructed to accommodate 400 100 passengers per peak hour period. The traffic coming at the airport has far outstripped the capacity of the terminal, so the government is looking at a proposal to deal with the technical designs and for the management of the airport, and soon SCASPA would provide its input for Cabinet's consideration. Although he did not specify a timeline, Minister Liebert promised that shortly the Robert L. Bradshaw International Airport will be improved. He said a company with which the current administration is familiar has made a technical and financial proposal which provides an opportunity to develop a public-private partnership for the management of the Robert L. Bradshaw International Airport. The Team Unity administration will give a state-of-the-art international airport capable of boosting inward traffic and contributing to economic growth, Minister Liebert said. And that brings us to the end of tonight's presentation of the Nevis Newscast. I am Bronte Swanston Hendrickson. Thank you for viewing. Good night.
This one is going out to the land of my birth, Queen City, Nevis.
Truly, one of the few places that has an untouched beauty that has captivated the hearts of many. Nevis is everything you imagine.